Okay, everyone. Now, can Warren Buffett's investment style and indeed his techniques be replicated by you or most people as a DIY investor? Now, before getting to it, let's remind ourselves, what is Warren Buffett's investment style? Basically, he was a disciple of Benjamin Graham, and he believes in the whole value investing proposition. In other words, what he would do in his early days especially, he would go through company records, do the accounting, and look for companies that were undervalued relative to their intrinsic value. So find stocks that are basically on sale. Now the question is, can this be done by the average DIY investor? Now I'm going to say no for the following reasons. Now number one, most people don't have the time that Buffett has, right? If you have a full-time job or whatever. Number two, even Buffett isn't actually beating the market these days. And why isn't he beating the market? Basically, there's so many reasons for this, including the fact it's hard to kind of keep compounding Berkshire Hathaway stock. But beyond that, these days, it's a completely different world. When Buffett was starting out, how could you invest? Well, you could invest in many different ways, but essentially most of the people, 90% of the money was normal retail investors. People like doctors, nurses, teachers, whoever, right? Even if they're going through a stockbroker, it was still retail investors. So in that situation, most retail investors trade on emotion. So if Buffett was coming up against those kind of people, of course some of those people would panic and sell off a stock too cheaply. So he would easily beat the market. But what's happened over time is his advantage over the S&P 500 has gone down. In other words, in the 50s and 60s, he was often beating it by as much as 10, 15 or more percent a year. 80s, maybe 10 or 15%, 90s, maybe 10%, 5%, right? Early 2000s, even less. And now it's pretty much zero because more computers are in the market, more people are in the market, more algorithms, and more importantly, more institutional investors, hedge funds, banks are institutional investors. What does that mean, right? If you're competing against institutional investors, look, they're not trading on emotion as much. A hedge fund, a bank, they're using other people's money. They've got hundreds of thousands of analysts. If you combine all the analysts worldwide, they've got computers, they've got all kinds of technology. They are looking at all of these stocks, and when a stock becomes undervalued, it's not like Buffett himself can just suddenly magically find that information like he could do decades ago in the modern world where information is so freely available. So for the average DIY investor, the idea that just because you know something about a company that you can easily beat the market, that's for the fairies. And remember, if you do have some privileged information, that's illegal. That's insider trading, right? So you probably don't have insider information. So remember, no matter how much research you do on a particular stock, how many hours a day do you have? 24. How many hours a day does the market have? Literally trillions now, because of all the machines, all the technology. So even Buffett himself admits that his method of investing, it doesn't work for the average DIY investor. Okay, everyone, look forward to any comments.